My name is John Peterson, and I've been a faculty member at Oberlin College since 2000. I serve as the director of the Environmental Dashboard Project and the president of Community Hub. What excites me most about the work we've been doing over the last 23 years is the amazing group of faculty, students, and community members from all over the country that I've collaborated with to develop and implement communication technology that engages, motivates, and empowers stronger and more resilient communities. In today's presentation, you're going to learn more from some of our current team members and collaborators.
Hello, I'm Madeline Faubert, and I graduated from Oberlin with a degree in cinema studies in 2021. I have been working on the environmental dashboard since 2018 and serve as the graphic and story designer for Community Hub. I also edited and produced the video presentation that you are about to watch. In this presentation, John will provide an introduction, and then we are excited to share 4 short vignettes that tell the story of how different components of the dashboard technology are currently being used in different communities. What excites me most about my job with Community Hub is having the opportunity to combine my skills and passions, to practice and use creativity, art, and storytelling as essential tools to motivate and communicate positive climate action to a large and diverse audience.
Hi, I'm Megan Swing. I graduated from Allegheny College in 2022 with a double major in environmental science and sustainability in Spanish. Then I went to the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, where in 2023, I graduated with my Master of Mass Communications. This past fall, I joined the environmental dashboard team as project manager. In this position, I serve as the point of contact with the community members, as well as manage our student team. What excites me most about my work is being able to combine environmental science with communications and linguistics to help make a world a better place and really motivate people to get involved, especially students.
So we have 3 additional co-authors on this presentation. We have Anthony Guerrero. He's the Associate Vice Chancellor for Facility Services and Campus Operations at the University of Washington Bothell. Bryn, Kearney, and Sydney Rosensaft are current Oberlin students who will present 2 of the projects in the presentation. And then we have a range of additional folks that will contribute to this presentation, including students, staff at Oberlin and at Bothell, and key community partners.
You won't see much more of me or Madeline during this video, but you will hear me in some of the voiceover narration. The introduction and 4 vignettes we are about to share with you are developed as an online presentation for the 2023 annual meeting of the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education. Oberlin College is proud to have been a founding member of AASHE when it started in 2005.
Environmental Dashboard is a communication technology and approach designed for organizations and for whole communities that combines visualization of real-time resource flows and environmental conditions with the stories and voices of community members. The goal is to engage, educate, motivate, and empower vibrant, sustainable, and resilient communities. On college campuses, Environmental Dashboard also provides significant opportunities for community-based learning and research, which are evident in the stories we will present today. This presentation is not intended to promote a company or products, but I do want to recognize the software development team at Community Hub for the work to make the projects we discuss possible. Community Hub is a company that was specifically created to develop and support software that allows other communities and organizations to more easily recreate all or parts of Dashboard. For the last 23 years, as an educator, researcher, and as someone involved in developing communication technology, I focused on one central question. How can information feedback be used to empower people and to strengthen communities? More specifically, how do we employ local information feedback to motivate and empower sustainable and resilient communities that are consistent with the UN Sustainable Development Goals? Environmental Dashboard is an integrated technology and an approach designed to promote systems thinking and action. Systems thinking is an approach to conceptualizing the world that focuses on relationships and interdependencies between parts. A systems thinker is someone who views themselves as an integrated and important part of a larger integrated whole. Specifically, we're looking to foster a sense of connectedness and belonging to social, economic, and environmental place. We're trying to situate individual decision-making into a larger community context. We're sharing and celebrating pro-environmental thought and action. We're promoting environmental literacy. And finally, we're positively changing behavior to achieve sustainability and resilience. We see interactive digital signs installed in public locations, as exemplified in these photos, as critical for communicating feedback. This situates content in people's faces in the spaces they live, work, play, and shop. As an example, in our pilot community of Oberlin, Ohio, we have 23 screens installed throughout the city, including all public schools, City Hall, the public library, the food pantry, and storefronts, and we have 10 additional screens on the Oberlin College campus. It is pretty much impossible to walk through this city of 8,000 without encountering the signs. We are particularly proud of the phone app that can be opened with a QR code installed below most of these screens. The phone app not only provides you with access to content from your phone, it also serves as a controller that allows you to select the content you view on each digital sign installed in the community. Our content can also be found on the environmentaldashboard.org website and packaged into weekly events newsletters for communities, and finally embedded within organizational websites, such as the MidTown Cleveland website shown here. Okay, we've told you a little bit about where content is displayed, but how does that information get there? Data Hub is at the core of the Community Hub software that is used to develop environmental dashboards. The Hub collects data in real time from a variety of different sources and translates it into data visualizations designed to be easily understood by a non-technical audience. For example, data can be collected from energy and water monitoring sensors installed in buildings and displayed through an application we call Building Dashboard, or investigated more deeply through Hub Analytics. Real-time data can also be accessed from collaborating utilities or from a variety of publicly available sources of data, such as EPA's Air Now or USGS's water quality monitoring stations. Finally, social data on what people and organizations are doing within a community are critical components of the feedback process. Of course, the ultimate goal of data visualizations is to create community-centered feedback that engages and connects people with each other and with the natural environment. The fully implemented environmental dashboard content shown on digital signs and on websites is broken down into 6 main components. Building Dashboard displays resource use in individual buildings and groups of buildings, such as schools, dorms, or city buildings. Citywide Dashboard is a cartoon model of a city that is animated with real-time resource flows and environmental conditions. Community Voices combines images and words drawn from residents to promote positive action. We use community voices to highlight the abundance of positive work taking place within communities. A neighborhood calendar and jobs board provides a crowdsourced space for event sharing, announcements, and volunteer opportunities. Story content is a series of interactive presentations that combine explanations of environmental and community conditions with real-time data visualizations. Finally, location-specific content is content that is unique to each digital sign installed within the community. Having provided a little bit of background, I am about to turn things over to the real dashboard stars, our collaborators and students who are employing the technology to transform communities. First up will be Anthony, who has spearheaded our collaborative efforts to develop a dashboard for the University of Washington Bothell and Cascadia College campus. Second will be an Oberlin student team who worked to expand Oberlin's campus-wide dashboard to tell the story of carbon-neutral infrastructure being installed to achieve our goal of carbon neutrality by 2025. Third will be Sydney and Niraj, who will share with you our work to develop a community dashboard for the MidTown Cleveland neighborhood. Finally, Bryn is going to tell you about recent initiatives to elevate community voices to celebrate and advance climate action in Northeast Ohio. As I mentioned at the start, it is exciting for me to see where the dashboard technology has recently taken us and to envision how we might support others in their efforts to build more vibrant, sustainable, and resilient communities.
One of the core goals of the Dashboard project has been to develop and pilot technologies and approaches that can be adapted for use in other campuses and communities. In 2022, University of Washington Bothell reached out to the Oberlin team for help in developing a campus dashboard that would combine real-time data on water, electricity, and gas flows through campus with a narrative and visual explanation of sustainability leadership.
My name is Anthony Guerrero. I'm from the University of Washington Bothell. I am the Associate Vice Chancellor for Facility Services and Campus Operations. And that has all of facilities as well as campus safety, EH&S and emergency management, transportation, and also sustainability. In the mid-2000s, I was really watching Oberlin College, and I was really impressed with these orbs that they placed down the hallways of the dorms. As the colors changed, if the students were doing better or worse in conserving energy. And I was really excited that the students were influenced by the colors of these lights. And then they were really competing against each other, whether by floor or by the buildings themselves. In about 2011, I also noticed that Oberlin, with Dr. Peterson and his students, they had created a dashboard, an energy dashboard. Anyway, this dashboard was really, really colorful. I hadn't seen anything like it. It also had these special cartoon animals, a squirrel and a fish. And I really liked them because the squirrel would smile or it would frown depending on how much energy you were saving. And then this fish was one that, if you were really saving water, it was upright and it was happy. And then as you were, not saving water, then it was floating sideways and stuff because, there was a lot less water in the bowl. I really saw that, again, maybe that would also influence our community here at the University of Washington Bothell to go ahead and save energy as well. I went back to Oberlin and I found Dr. Peterson was still there and he had created a company called Community Hub. We're really part of a whole community here in the city of Bothell, in the state of Washington. And Community Hub was providing a service that showed, this energy dashboard, a community space, and then really a holistic way showing where the university is part of this community in the city of Bothell. And I thought that was really huge and exciting. It's not about, just numbers, therms and KW and all of those types of things. It is, how you're part, of the entire community. It's just really, really exciting to be more than just an energy dashboard. All of these great students, how can we go ahead and provide information to them that is happening right in front of them? They're building that's utilizing electricity or utilizing natural gas. How can they take all of those numbers and then calculate that and then maybe help us make a more efficient building? That interaction is so important. I think it's going to be invaluable for their training and their future in their field.
In the fall of 2023, after the first phase of the Bothell Environmental Dashboard had been completed, a meeting of key Bothell stakeholders was held to explore their vision and ideas for how a next phase of the dashboard might best serve the campus community. How the management of the campus grounds connects with the management of energy and water resources was a key topic of interest.
I'm just super excited to hear about those ideas.
We could really plug in a lot of the land use, organic land care principles into that too, particularly the choice to not use herbicides, pesticides, chemical fertilizers that are going into the landscape and of course into the groundwater, into some of these stormwater systems. And also just some of the soil life in fostering and mulching. It's a lot of the practices that really tie to that idea of water. Mm-hmm. I think this is a really good center point to tell a lot of stories around.
How the new dashboard might evolve to contribute to UW Bothell's diverse programs and curriculum was also a key topic of interest.
We have a number of faculty who are aligned, if you will, with the environmental studies, environmental sciences. And so they're the obvious sort of first in the breach group that you would probably want to contact, and we have a bunch of them. We also have an interactive media design program, and they would probably be really great to engage with in terms of how do you take data and put it into a media-friendly digital sort of formats that are going to pop and attract attention, etc.
You know, and then the other one is the advanced cross-disciplinary teaching and scholarship. And then, you know, this dashboard and or environmental sustainability, you know, can come from all of these, you know, different disciplines. You know, when business says, well, there's nothing in sustainability that, you know, that we can do. Well, you have environmental law, you have a lot of things that, you know, can cross into there. So
one little idea I could add is somehow integrating student research in areas that intersect with the information that's being presented, so that we could kind of make it both hyper local, but also this positive feedback loop where younger students are engaging in this, maybe interested in some of the ideas. They see that research has been done by other peers on campus, and maybe give them a vision of sorts, an inspirational vision of maybe I want to engage in the next step, the next level of research, or some new ideas. Anyway, to incorporate, I know we're always looking for ways to highlight what our students are doing as far as research goes in this field. To be able to point people to these dashboards as kind of a recommended reading, essentially, to engage with that, through that process, develop some questions that they could then bring to some of these workshops and experiences would be a really helpful way to use it as well.
There were a number of ideas regarding how data could best be translated and visualized into forms that are accessible to a non-technical campus audience.
Something I think would be cool would be to incorporate some greenhouse gas equivalencies here. So if you're familiar with the EPA's greenhouse gas equivalencies calculator, you can plug in, say, an arbitrary amount of greenhouse gas emissions in metric tons, and it'll give you the equivalent, say, of doing one activity is equal to driving your car for a year, or, you know, or 10,000 dumpsters, you know, something like that. So it'd be cool to have some type of equivalency on there on a dashboard to really give us a real frame of reference, you know, because I don't think a normal person just every day knows like what 1,000 therms is, you know. It's really difficult to really visualize that or conceptualize it.
We could incorporate some kind of trivia feature into it where people, like, you know, they're not just reading things, they actually click things on it, test their knowledge, compete with people that they're hanging out with in front of the dashboard. That could be another thing that could draw people to engage with the dashboard. Very excited to see where phase 2 goes and how we get there.
In 2006, Oberlin College was the first of its peer institutions to formally commit to achieving carbon neutrality when it signed the American College and University President's Carbon Commitment. Starting in the early 2000s, Oberlin students and faculty pioneered the development of a campus-wide real-time dashboard to display water use and electricity consumption to promote conservation as one important strategy for achieving its climate goals. Having worked with the city of Oberlin to secure 100% green electricity for the entire community, the next milestone in the works is to transition to a central geothermal system to meet the heating and cooling needs of the campus. An extensive metering system is being installed so that flows of heating and cooling to each building can be incorporated into the dashboard system for educational purposes. The key product will be interactive digital displays on campus that use real-time data visualizations and narrative to tell the story of how institutional policy, campus infrastructure, and personal choices are collectively moving Oberlin towards its goals. The group of 4 students contributing the presentation you are about to see work together as a team in Oberlin's environmental communications class. Their project focused on developing prototype story content for this display.
My name is Noah Auby. My other project group members are Dylan Hamburger and Claire Obrakta, and we're the project group assigned to develop an engaging interactive display to educate as much of the Oberlin community as we can regarding the college's carbon neutrality efforts. At some point within the next couple of years, this display will ideally be placed in our very own Wilder Bowl, which you can now see here.
Yeah, thanks, Noah. So, as I'm sure many of you know, the college is currently in the process of transforming its energy system to become fully sustainable and carbon neutral by 2025. This is the reason for all the construction that's been going on around Oberlin since early last year, with workers replacing pipes and renovating dorms all around campus. In our preliminary research for this project, we found that students, faculty, and community members lack an easy to understand, accessible way to learn in depth about the many projects happening around campus, and about Oberlin's greater environmental goals and history. So this provides an opportunity for us to try and fill this gap in knowledge and create an accessible medium for people to learn about Oberlin's carbon neutrality efforts, and for people to learn about the reasons for the construction that everyone sees around campus every day. So my group is creating a series of these educational stories, like many of the other groups. And like Noah said, these stories will be displayed at Wilder Bowl in Central Campus on a new environmental dashboard display.
Thanks, Dylan. So yeah, essentially we've developed story prototypes that address the following topics: Oberlin College's historic commitment to achieving carbon neutrality, the role of efficiency in meeting this commitment, the college's new heating and cooling system, the policy relevant to the carbon neutrality commitment, how green and carbon neutral Oberlin's electricity is, and finally, a story on our all new solar array. I know those icons just went really fast, but anyway, as you can see on the left, those are the icons that we have developed as temporary placeholders for symbols designating these stories. And ideally, the aforementioned interactive display will include all 6 of these stories and have buttons that you can press to switch between them. And as you can see on the right, we have also utilized Flash and Wally in our stories to better engage with our audience. So as you can probably imagine, most people walking past this display will not really stick around for all 100 or so slides that we've made. So we made sure to have information on each slide make as much sense as possible without any prior context, while also allowing each slide to fit within larger stories and the overall meta story that is the college's carbon neutral infrastructure commitment. So now we're going to show you some example slides from each of our stories.
Our first story, which is carbon neutrality, is basically a review of Oberlin's commitments towards and progress towards carbon neutrality throughout its history. So as you can see in the sample slide, this display will start by defining and introducing the concept of carbon neutrality, and additional slides in the story will go on to discuss the importance of carbon neutrality in Oberlin and around the world, and also review the college's history and achievements over the years in its pursuit of carbon neutrality. So taking a look at all the commitments Oberlin has signed and how we're adhering to those commitments now.
An example slide from the policy story and discusses the early history of Oberlin College's commitment, some key distinctions between sustainability and resilience, mitigation and adaptation, the role of the Oberlin Office of Environmental Sustainability, as well as the Committee on Environmental Sustainability, and how they've coordinated in the past on the 2015 Environmental Policy Implementation Plan.
This next story is called Efficiency, and it basically explains how Oberlin College is working to become a more efficient and sustainable campus. It also, of course, is going to define efficiency and talk about the differences between efficient energy and renewable energy. But we also want to emphasize that that for Oberlin to become carbon neutral by 2025, it has to pursue both efficient energy and renewable energy. So that's going to be a big part of this story.
This story goes over the new ground source heat pumps, which will be installed on North Campus in the near future, which is also known as the geothermal system, which will be providing more carbon neutrality aspects to Oberlin's heating and cooling systems.
Here is the solar array story, an example slide from it. It's discussing the tracker array technology. and how it's very good at generating electricity. We have here an example of a real-time data illustration from the Oberlin College, or not the Oberlin College, the Oberlin City Public Library. Here is an example of flash reacting to the total energy use being above typical use. And we see that flash is happier when, of course, the electricity use is down to 8.87 kilowatts. And this is a really good example of how real-time data can be integrated in our project. We hope that these prototypes really just guide further content creation, and will be revised in the future to really make sure that this installation is as effective as can be.
In addition to the campus dashboard at Oberlin College, the dashboard team has developed and maintains a community dashboard project for the city of Oberlin designed to promote pro-community and pro-environmental behavior. The display system includes 23 screens installed in the public schools, public library, food pantry, retirement community, community center, fire station, and in storefronts and churches. The dashboard project has always recognized that the economic development and social justice goals of sustainability are inextricably linked with environmental goals. In 2021, with funding from the Cleveland Foundation, the dashboard team began a close collaboration with MidTown Cleveland. MidTown is an urban neighborhood that borders the Huff, a historic African-American community in Cleveland's Asiatown. Our goal is to explore how approaches and technologies developed for the city of Oberlin's community dashboard might contribute to the more diverse and urban community. Oberlin College students have been playing a key role in working with the MidTown Community Development Corporation and community members to develop content for the MidTown Community Dashboard. Senior Sydney Rosensaft, with the help of junior Bryn Kearney, will help tell the story.
My name is Sydney Rosensaft. I'm a student at Oberlin College.
What is your role in Environmental Dashboard?
I first got involved with the Environmental Dashboard my sophomore year of college. I was taking a class on practicum in environmental communication with John Peterson, who kind of is the head of the Environmental Dashboard project. And the class had a bunch of smaller projects. And so my project in the class was coming up with this idea of an environmental dashboard to be in the Midtown area of Cleveland. Prior to that, there had only really been a dashboard in Oberlin and in some areas in Cleveland in like the Great Lakes Science Center. But this was like kind of the first time we were going to be bringing the dashboard into another community, functioning the same way how it functions in Oberlin. At first, I started figuring out what would a dashboard in Midtown even really look like. And then once we had those prototypes all really figured out, the next step of my work was kind of doing outreach in the community to tell the community about this dashboard, what it is, what it's going to do, what they can expect, answer any questions that they might have about it. And so I went into the Midtown community and did some tabling in a local grocery store to talk to the community members, basically get the word out about it. I was doing more outreach to businesses and community organizations and encouraging them to post to the dashboard. And one of the aspects of the Midtown dashboard is a community calendar and jobs board, and encouraging them to post different events going on in the community and post job openings that they might have, and really ramping up the content that is on this dashboard so that it can further do community strengthening work.
What benefits have you gained from your work with Environmental Dashboard?
It's given me a lot of practical experience. I'm studying environmental studies at Oberlin with a specific focus on urban sustainability. And a big part of making urban areas like Cleveland sustainable is making sure that the community is strong and resilient. And the Environmental Dashboard works to do exactly that and strengthens the community. And so being able to work on bringing this dashboard initiative from Oberlin to Midtown and bringing it into a more urban area has given me a lot of real world experience in working in urban sustainability. And I think that the practical experience that I've been able to gain from this, from my work on the project, has been really valuable to my education. In a place where there is so much going on at all times, I think it's so important that there's a like centralized place where community members can just go and see what's going on, where can I connect with other people in the community, and kind of providing that place where community members can interact with each other and learn more about each other, and will ultimately like help strengthen the community.
What has your experience been working with MidTown community partners?
I feel like I've learned so much about, you know, the MidTown community itself from them, and also just so much from about, you know, how to interact with communities and how to focus on community development and how to strengthen communities by just working with MidTown community partners. And I think I think I've gained a lot of perspective on like such diverse communities. And I think one thing I've learned is how to take both a broader perspective and also, like at the same time as taking a broader perspective and seeing the community as a whole, also seeing the community as a bunch of individuals.
My name is Niraj Naik, and I'm the planning manager at MidTown Cleveland, Inc. I've been working on the environmental dashboard project with Community Hub for almost 2 years in developing a community calendar and jobs board for the Midtown neighborhood, which is located on the east side of Cleveland. The environmental dashboard has honestly been one of the most innovative projects I've been able to work on at Midtown. It's combining technology with really strong community development and really helping us kind of reach our vision for the neighborhood and helping people connect to jobs and also being empowered to host and spread the word about community events that are going on in our neighborhood. In 2020, our organization launched the Neighborhood Vision Plan. We spoke with community members or employers in the neighborhood, young professionals, and basically all the people in the neighborhood, and asked them kind of what they wanted out of the neighborhood. And that project births 20 strategies that we try to push forward at our organization on a daily basis. From a marketing standpoint, it can be hard for us to get the word out about all of these amazing projects that we're working on, all of the amazing opportunities that are available to community members. But the dashboard's like well-tested strategy of physical screens in locations, as well as website integration, a newsletter, all kind of this full wraparound service really makes it easy for us to utilize this tool and kind of supercharge all of the amazing things that are already happening in our neighborhood. Just having it as kind of a piece of digital infrastructure just makes kind of the goals of everybody in the neighborhood a lot easier to achieve. We've talked about some really exciting ideas of, you know, having a really mature network of screens around the neighborhood, not only in community centers like Fatima Family Center, Dave's Market, local apartment buildings, but also other kind of anchor institutions around the neighborhood. Large employers can potentially host screens. Major transit centers could potentially have screens. One of my favorite things about the dashboard project is the emphasis on representation of community members and voices and history. I think that from a practical standpoint, the sharing about community events and jobs is vital, but what's equally vital is that people look at each of the dashboards and feel ownership of it and they're represented on it. And the kind of additional work of going out into the community, learning people's stories, documenting them and sharing them as part of the dashboard experience is really, to me, what distinguishes this project from a lot of other kind of civic technology projects that might exist. The dashboard isn't just an example of innovation, but it's also an example of equitable innovation and making sure that the technology is developed in a way that really prioritizes and centers the communities that it serves. As somebody who serves this neighborhood, I just have immense gratitude for this partnership, and really excited at the prospect of what will help, where it will go over the next 5 or 10 years.
Community Voices is a component of Environmental Dashboard that combines images and words derived from community conversations to celebrate thoughts and actions that advance sustainability. In an effort to promote regional climate action, the Dashboard team developed an initiative to discover and communicate the broad range of positive climate actions that individuals and organizations are already taking in Northeast Ohio. During the summer of 2023, Oberlin College junior Bryn Kearney spearheaded this initiative.
My name is Bryn Kearney, and I'm a student at Oberlin College, and I work for Environmental Dashboard. I first got involved in Environmental Dashboard actually all the way back in my first year of college. Very peripherally, I was taking a class with John Peterson, who's in charge of Environmental Dashboard, and that's when I first got my first taste of community voices, which is the role I have now. And then last year, I took a practicum in environmental communication, where I started working with Dashboard, mainly trying to integrate its building metering features into lessons that were taught at the local elementary school. But since then, I started working as a summer fellow, mainly in charge of spearheading the Community Voices project, as well as some other roles too. Community Voices interviews people across Northeast Ohio. Right now, we're focused on interviewing people engaging in positive climate action. And through short interviews, we take quotes and transcripts from these interviews and turn them into content paired with positive images and different environmental themes. And these are displayed on dashboards all throughout the Northeast Ohio region. And these dashboards end up promoting increased self-efficacy surrounding climate action and a greater sense of community. By working for Environmental Dashboard, I have developed a super broad network of contacts in the Oberlin community and beyond it. I have met so many people that inspire me every day about the future and the future of climate change. And every time I go out and I work, I feel more inspired that I can do things that make positive change. And there are people there that are going to support me along the way. By working with Environmental Dashboard, I've also benefited a lot from gaining lots of different skills and experiences in the greater field of sustainability. I now understand kind of how the built environment relates to sustainability, but I also understand now the importance of place-based learning and place-based work and actually making sustainable solutions happen. Community members all have different experiences with the climate and how climate change has affected them. And by listening to these real stories, you can have a better idea of what changes are actually going to help your community. By telling stories about people and their experience with climate change, you are disincentivizing people from doing things that negatively impact the environment. In Ohio, there's a really big disparity between how many people actually believe that climate change is happening and how many people believe that other people believe that climate change is happening. And the goal of the Northeast Ohio Climate Action Community Voices Project is to get people to understand that we all care about climate change and that it is going to impact us all. So by interviewing people through Community Voices interviews, which are short 15 to 30-minute interviews that are asking people about their work doing positive climate action, we are challenging this idea that people don't care about climate change. Because in fact, as you can see through the interviews, people do care about climate change and people are taking a stand to make sure that they can mitigate and adapt to its effects. I've done so many interviews for our Northeast Ohio Climate Action Community Voices project, so it's hard to choose just a few that really stood out to me. But I had an interview a few weeks ago with Kim Woodford, and I was so inspired by her work. She takes people to Cuyahoga Valley National Park, and she talks about the health impacts of environmental injustice, specifically talking about breast cancer and other forms of cancers. And then also after they have these talks where they talk about what they should have, what equal healthcare should look like, then she takes the groups that she takes on these walks to go explore Cuyahoga Valley National Park and do an action that is actually beneficial for their health. I've also just been inspired seeing so many people across the political spectrum believing that solutions that promote renewable energy, solutions that do mitigate and adapt to the effects of climate change are the right choice.
In your own words, what is the case in favor for renewable energy from a conservative perspective?
Well, it starts with the actual benefits that rural communities receive from renewable energy. When you look at things like utility scale solar, utility scale wind, a lot of the things that we hear surrounding that kind of topic is about the environment as well as climate change, but there are a plethora of other benefits, including local tax revenue. So part of our job is to educate local governments and communities here in Ohio about those local tax revenue benefits. So when you look at 1,000 acres of land that's being developed for solar, a lot of people think, well, what's that going to do for me? What's that going to do for my community? And the answer is real estate taxes, tax revenue, your local income taxes. All of these are going back into the community, and it's a very low impact kind of way to bring in more money. And that funding goes towards schools, your road improvements, infrastructure.
One of my biggest takeaways from Community Voices is the fact that you can never have talked to too many people. Every single person that you meet is going to provide another perspective that is incredibly valuable. And without talking to people, you really can't design solutions that are helpful. Everybody's going to have a different experience with something, and you have to talk to them about their values, their beliefs, their interests before you can actually come up with a solution that's going to help an entire community come together and actually thrive. There are so many people taking a stand against climate change, and there are people from all walks of life doing it. And so when they see these dashboards, they're going to realize, wow, like I'm not the only one that cares about climate change, and I actually can get involved with many different organizations working to fight its impacts. Environmental communication is super important, and it's super undervalued in the environmental field, but it is the way of the future. There's so much information about climate change, how to solve the effects of climate change, but until people actually are reading it, hearing it, listening to it, understanding it, we're not actually going to be able to take a step forward and actually start to fight the impacts of climate change. In the environmental field, there's a lot of environmental injustice and disenfranchisement that occurs, but environmental communication is one way to kind of fight back against these issues because it promotes greater accessibility to information as well as other resources too.
I think environmental communication, just kind of going off of that, shows people that their voice matters. And I think the more that we communicate about these environmental issues and environmental solutions, the more people realize that they really do have experiences to share, and that their experiences with the environment, whether positive or negative in something they want to change, really does matter. And, I think people will hear someone say something about the environment and they'll be inspired by that and realize I can also inspire somebody else. I feel like climate change is one of those things that can make people feel really hopeless and feel really alone, and creating a conversation around the environment can help people realize that they're not alone and there is hope. And if we all kind of communicate about this and open this conversation about the environment and keep this conversation going, then we can work together on solutions.